Hello, and welcome to Encamp's Women of EHS series. In this series, we feature women who are changing the industry and redefining what the term EHS professional means. Today, my guest is Julie Mouton. Julie, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
Thanks, Brandon. I'm doing really great. How
Uh,
are you?
I am doing good. The temperature just dropped about 30 degrees, but I'm okay with that. So just moving into November. But before we kind of jump into these questions, can you give me a little background on your title, your company, what you are about?
I work at a company called Antea Group, and I've actually been in EHS consulting for over 15 years now. I started Antea Group back in 2005, primarily in the field, collecting a lot of soil and groundwater samples, overseeing drilling and construction, a lot of remediation. And I went over to another consulting firm for a year and a half, and then I came back. And I've been back with Antea Group since March 2009. And in that time, my career has literally transformed from being a solely dedicated resource on environmental liability management, so cleaning up that contamination, which is kind of a reactive, to more of that proactive. So helping companies reduce their operational risk by looking at data compliance. And then my favorite topic is sustainability. So I've transformed my career to being primarily a sustainability consultant. Water stewardship is one of my favorite topics to work on and help companies set their goals, figure out where they want to go and how to achieve those goals. And so at Antea Group, I lead our water stewardship service line for our USA operations. And I also lead our food and beverage segment because a lot of the clients I work with are food and beverage companies.
Yeah, that is good, good, good. So let's start at the very, very beginning. And by the way, we know a lot about that food and beverage because you were on a campfire session. So thank you guys for joining us for that. But so at the very beginning, how did you kind of get into this space? Did you fall into it? Was it a passion? What's your story?
It started, I'll be honest, back in second grade. We were learning about recycling, and I thought it was the neatest idea. I went to a very small Catholic school, and our librarian was teaching us about environmentalism. And so at the time, my town did not have recycling at the curbside. And so we started bringing in our number two plastics as part of our project for Earth Day for the second grade. We started collecting our number two six at home. And so we would bring them in weekly. And at one point, I started collecting so many that she said, Julie, I can't fit these in my car anymore. And I'll never forget that. Like, I went out to her car with her. And my dad was really a big supporter of that. So he helped me collect plastics from others so that we can recycle them together. And I just kind of kept that passion through my entire life. I loved reading about it. And then when it was time to go to college, I knew that math and science were my strong areas and areas that I loved learning about. And I found an engineering school where I could learn about civil and environmental engineering. And I thought, if I learn these engineering skills, maybe I can figure out ways to tackle these global problems and help, make the world a better place. So yeah, I'm a tree hugger for sure. Another turning point was in school at Worcester Technic Institute. I took a class called Philosophy on the Environment, and I read a book that kind of opened my eyes, and it was another big turning point for me. It was called The End of Nature by Bill McKibben.
Yep.
Great book. I highly recommend it. And during that class, professor, now this is at an engineering school, he made us, he said, we want you to have this 7-week assignment where you're going to keep a journal and you're going to go make friends with a tree. And I want you to document, what thoughts come into your head while you're sitting by your tree. And so he gave us a very prescriptive assignment. It's like from the beginning to the end, it's just, I saw this transformation of my thoughts. And I just thought that was one of the most influential exercises that I've ever done.
No, that's a wonderful answer and a great assignment. Like I never
Yeah.
got that one, but I get how if you already got a deep love and root for the environment, like just doing that project alone kind of just probably puts you over the edge and now you're in for life. That's for sure. So I know your teacher had, a big influence in your start, but do you have any other mentors along the way, anyone you looked up to in the field?
Oh, absolutely. So before getting into the workforce, I had the wonderful and amazing opportunity to meet Julia Butterfly Hill. Not sure if you know who she is, but at WPI, I was involved in a lot of groups. One was the Environmental Club, and then we started another club called the Power of One, and how one person, it's kind of like that butterfly. One person flaps their wings, or just it makes a statement, and how that can ripple through society and really create change. And Julia Butterfly Hill, not sure if you know who she is, but she is was one of the folks that sat in a tree, in a platform on a tree in the Pacific Northwest. The tree was called Luna, and it was in an old growth forest. And she was there so that the loggers didn't cut down this old growth forest.
Ah, okay.
And she stayed there for a long time. I think it was like over a year. I can't remember the exact fact, but I got to meet her. We had an awesome talk. I invited my parents. I invited everybody I knew, and it was just very impactful. And then as I started working, obviously I took on more mentors, but I think where I found the greatest value was having, let me step back for a second. So Antea Group, we do have a mentorship program where we get assigned mentors. And my mentor until recently, because now he's my manager, was our sustainability practice leader. And so that was the best mentor. And the other, I guess, besides internal mentors, people that are where I want to go, doing what I want to do, those are the people that I glammed onto. And really, I would say that I have over a dozen mentors just internally at Antea Group, but then externally through networking events, things. I've just, developed relationships with so many different people. And so I've definitely collected a lot of mentors along the way. So I would say I've had a lot of mentors, both internally and externally, that have helped me along my career. And when I have doubt, or, in the time when I was primarily an environmental liability practitioner, and I knew that I really wanted to do sustainability, but it wasn't happening as fast as I wanted to. I just made sure that I had a lot of touch points with a variety of folks and got their perspectives, and, took their advice to heart. And now I'm successful in my career because of the help that they provided, and the guidance, and, just the encouragement.
That flows like really good into my next question. You talked about how you are successful now, and clearly we can all see that you have a passion for the environment. But if you had one trait that makes you excel in your position, what would that be?
Either persistence or tenacity. I'm not one that takes no for an answer really easily. Especially when it's so in my core, I know this is what I need to do. I had a long time ago, one of my former regional managers told me, Julie, you're not in marketing and business development. You're a project manager for remediation projects. And I was like, no.
Right.
And I'm gonna am wrong. And I did what I had to do, and obviously I asked for forgiveness later, but I'm successful in my own path because I listened to my inner voice and my intuition, and just kept going on the path that I knew was right for me.
That's a great answer. I always look at your content on LinkedIn, and I love how you put up great articles, which lets everyone know how passionate you are about the environment. But yeah, I really like that answer, because I feel like that's a lot of answer for a lot of us. You really, if you want something, you just need to go get it. So in that tenacity, in any challenges that you face, how'd you overcome them in your career?
When you have unsupportive managers, or just unsupportive male, especially from the male perspective, that maybe they've pigeonholed you and they don't let you have those opportunities, could be a reason to leave the firm and go someplace else. And there were some times where I would say I had a dark year, I would say,
Fair, yeah.
in my career, where I kind of gave up, and I was like, this is never going to happen for me. And I just, kept my head down, did what I was supposed to do. I performed really well in my on my projects, and I never gave my boss a reason to question my work. And quietly, in the background, I taking courses to diversify my skill sets, my tools, kind of investing in myself. And over time, I think I just tried to eliminate the negative voices from my head, and my attitude changed. I just one day like an aha, like I need to be true to myself. And if I'm not going to get the opportunities here, maybe I'll look someplace else. But things started turning around for me because I started getting opportunities. I think I beat my drum enough and I banged down the doors enough that I finally got some chances thrown my way, and doors started opening up. And I also believe greatly that the universe, I was putting it out there in the universe. I had my dark time. I got through that and I saw the light, like, yes, I can do this. And things just started happening for me.
That's good. That's a
I don't
really
know
good
if that
answer.
answers the question.
No, it really does. Sounds like you really let your work kind of speak for itself, no matter what the outside influences you have. Like you said, your boss was, you were banging your head, but somehow you still came out of this because of your work. It truly is because of what you do.
And the passion.
Yes.
And yeah, absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on the future of EHS, like technology, tools? Where do you see this going in the next 20 years?
To be honest with you, as companies change and grow and respond to risks and make sure that they have resilient operations, I personally think there's going to be more investments in EHS. Like if you think about some of these fast-growing industries where maybe they have an externally facing PR that looks like they have all their house in order, if they're not doing the right things, or can be sometimes boring. Like compliance, it's not glamorous,
right?
But it's necessary. I mean, compliance is cornerstone of sustainability. Environmental compliance, really. I mean, that's kind of how it started. When the river in Cleveland was on fire because of all the pollution in it, and the train drove by and sparks from the train tracks lit the river on fire. I mean, that was kind of the catalyst for the foundation for what we call sustainability today. I mean, I really think the trend for investing in EHS is going to continue to rise. It's necessary. Companies protect, license to operate, and we need more professionals, especially in health and safety, that understand the worker risks and how to prevent those people from getting hurt. So I think that the trend is up.
I was talking to a class at my old alma mater, and that's exactly what I was preaching to. Like, the time is now. If you ever thought about or wanted to get into environmental, we are only going to be more and more needed. We are a hot commodity right now, which is only going to increase as we move forward. So back to, I'm really excited to ask you this question. So back to the EHS space and the women of EHS. So how can this space improve for women?
I think it's been improving, and I'll point to the fact that, like at Antea Group, since I've been with the company, I mean, we have grown to the point where 50% of our company is female or identifies as female, and I think that speaks really strongly to the trend that more women are getting into this field and being given opportunities. At Antea Group, we also have a lot of women in leadership positions, and I see that in the next 5 or 7 years, I think it's going to be dominated. Our leadership is going to be dominated by women, if I had my way anyway. But I really think that we're given opportunities more equally now. We have a voice, and we bring different perspectives than men, and I really think that it's really changing and happening. In terms of how, I guess, practitioners can help each other, female practitioners, I would say that having a mentor like having other female mentors is really important, and having those figures, seeing people get to the spots that you want to go that are female, has helped me tremendously. I mean, you see the shift even in the way our country is being governed, how we've, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. I mean, these are messages that is sending to all females in the world that we matter just as much. And as a female, I also like to recommend or help others that are working in the space, like encouraging them and building them up and tearing them down, and just being very deliberate in the words that we speak to other females, because it is not easy. And, even being confident in the work that we do, I mean, there's other people that are intimidated by that. I know I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole. I've dealt with a lot of crap from, other females. Just, we just have to stay true to ourselves and lift others up. And I think that can speak to any industry that you're in, not only the EHS space.
Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of good advice for all women. My daughter's 5, and that's exactly the kind of information. And I wanted her to see role models and people and women in prominent roles, and a woman president. I want to see all that. So she never limits herself and think that she can't do anything.
Right. Exactly.
If you could give another woman some advice to kind of get where you are today, what exactly would that be?
If they have a path that they want to go down and they know this is what they want to do, I would just say, keep your eye on the prize. Be true to yourself, and those mentors that are willing to spend some time with you to get to understand what your goals are and put action plans in place. And if they don't know the answers, find another person. Like, just keep networking. Networking has been critical to the success of my career within Antea Group and outside of Antea Group, because there's so many different perspectives. And the more you talk to people about your passions and what you want to do, your brain is going to be hearing that, and it's going to get you excited because the possibilities are endless. It just takes you have to be self-driven to accomplish your goals. So set your goals, write them down, put them a sticky note on your computer. And so you see those goals every day, and that's going to just continue reinforcing why you're doing what you're doing, and keep you mentally, that stamina up.
If you could give your past self any advice, what would that be?
Like I alluded to earlier, I did go through kind of a dark time where I was wondering, what the hell am I doing? And should I even be here? Should I find another job? I think my attitude with my coworkers and even my relationship at home, I just was not in a happy place because I knew that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And I could have probably expedited my path if I didn't get into that darkness, the black hole of self-pity. So I tried, working on myself. If I had not gone down that hole, maybe I could have expedited getting to goals sooner than later. We're all humans, and we all have self-doubt. But I did read a couple of books along the way that helped, that positive mental attitude to help get me out of that. So I'm not sure if that exactly is the advice I would give myself, but that's all what I can think about right now.
I feel like, that's a little bit of, instead of getting so like down on yourself, kind of seeing the forest through the trees, or seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, you wish you kind of would have picked up on that a little bit sooner and not got so caught up in your current situation. I think that resonates with a lot of people, especially me, for sure. I've been there. So, all right, a little bit, thank you for those great answers, but now I want to ask you about Julie. What does Julie like to do? What are your hobbies?
I like a lot of different things, obviously with nature. I recently moved to the Austin area, and the COVID pandemic has kind of hindered my ability to get out, but I love hiking and camping. I know, with you guys at Encamp, our big campers. We moved from Seattle, and before my husband and I had kids, we would go out and backpack in the mountains and camp. And since having kids, that's kind of changed a bit because you can't walk, miles in. But I would say we still love getting out into nature. And growing up, and one of my favorite things to do, which is not so environmentally friendly, but it's water skiing.
Oh yeah, understandable.
My favorite sport. I love being on the water. I love just water in general. It's soothing, but it's so much fun. I grew up with a family of water skiers, and we used to be part of a club, and we would do annual ski shows, and my sisters and I would do a lot of acts together, like jumping and pyramids and barefooting, and my dad would drive us, and it's just great family memories. And whenever I visit my family, I get out there and turn the ski a couple times. It's just one of my favorite pastime activities.
Wait, did you just say barefooting? I've never done a thing like that. You're gonna have to show me this, because I sure would not even try that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice.
Fair.
A lot of falls.
Yeah. I think that's my problem. A lot of falls. I'm already like a little shy on the skiing front. I mean, that's water and snow, but barefooting is something that I wouldn't even try. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
What's your favorite trip? So what's your favorite trip you've ever taken?
Well, the first one that comes to my mind is my mom and I, we did a trip to Italy 2 years ago, actually, pretty much exactly 2 years ago. We did a tour, and it was all around food and wine, and it was about 12 days. We started in Rome and then went up in the Tuscany region to Florence, Siena, San Gimignano. There was another town, I forgot what it was called. We made food with a chef, and went to all sorts of wineries, and we went to pizza and had this like amazing garbanzo bean flatbread type thing. Oh man. And then we were in Parma and Bologna. Bologna is amazing. It's like the gastronomical center of the universe. I mean, they have all sorts of the mortadellas and like just so fresh and just amazing. And then Venice. And if I wasn't married, I would have called my boss and said, I'm not coming back.
I'm going. Yeah.
Yeah. I dream of the day that I will get to go there again.
That's awesome. Hopefully, I'm also a big traveler, so I'm waiting for kind of things to slow down a bit so I can kind of get back on a plane and get out of here for a little bit. That's for sure.
Yeah, go explore.
Yes. Yeah. So I know you're passionate about the environment. Are there any other causes you're passionate about, like outside of work, just something that you're super passionate about?
Well, when I was in Seattle, I haven't had the opportunity to reestablish anything in Austin, but we used to volunteer quite a bit with a society that helps people that have challenges getting enough food. It's hard because there's a big homeless population in Seattle, and so I would help out with the bulk packaging, and I would actually get a lot of people together to go and do that. It always made me feel better, but it's only a Band-Aid. I mean,
yeah.
Getting people off the streets, helping them with mental health challenges is kind of where it needs to be. But that was my favorite volunteering activity. I would do that multiple times a year. The other one that I really enjoyed working with is Habitat for Humanity. We would go out and build quite a bit and do lots of events to help with the low-income housing in Seattle, and just kind of getting my hands dirty, but feeling like I can help give back always helped me feel better about how I'm very fortunate in my life where I am. And so just finding those ways to help others is something that I try to do, and I probably don't do it enough. But I would say, the hunger issues and the low income housing are the things that, I still like donate to them because I can't go and physically, do the work right now because of the pandemic and whatnot. But those are my two areas. And then actually, I just thought of another thing. My husband and I, we've been pretty passionate with Children International. So we sponsor a couple of children in Honduras and Guatemala, and just getting their letters and seeing their pictures, how they change over the years. I mean, we have them on our fridge. Our kids know about them. I love that. It makes my heart, smile when I see that how the money that we're providing to this family is helping them buy shoes and books for their kids because they can't afford it.
Awesome.
So just trying to do what we can to help others.
Absolutely. Sounds like you guys are doing a great job. So yeah, I wouldn't beat myself up too much about it, but yeah, I understand that feeling of always wanting to you do a little more than you're doing now. So that is good. So, okay, last question. Here at Encamp, like you said, we like to camp here at Encamp, but are you a camper or a glamper? I feel like I know the answer, but go ahead.
Yeah, definitely a camper.
Okay.
Yeah. I have no problem schlepping my backpack through the woods or up a mountain and setting my tent up and my little can stove and eating a bean and rice burrito.
There we
I love getting out into those areas that few humans can see.
Yeah, that's
cool climbing up rocks and all of a sudden seeing a bunch of mountain goats. I mean that happened in Seattle area. It's one of the neatest feelings, like to see them in their natural habitat and climbing the rocks and all the alpine lakes. And you can't do that glamping. So
yeah, okay. That is very true. As a glamper myself, I need to come back down to the point where I could glamp. So yes, I am missing that. So I need to just step it up. I've come to conclusion that's what I need to do. Julie, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your well thought out answer. I absolutely love that. So if our viewers want to contact you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, sure. They can email me at Julie, Julie, Mouton, that's M like Michael, O-U-T as in Thomas, O-N like Nancy, at Antea Group.us. And Antea is spelled A-N like Nancy, T as in Thomas, E-A.
Perfect. And also check out her LinkedIn. Just find Julie. She's got great, I think you post almost every day, at least 3 or 4 times a week. Yeah. So she
I try to, yeah.
A good message out there. So again, viewers, if you ever want to contact me, just contact me on LinkedIn or go to www.encamp.com. All right. So thank you to our viewers again for listening. And what's good for business is good for the environment.